Ladies and gents, welcome to CG Reaction. This is Miscellaneous myths, Hou Yi and Chang'E by the channel with Sarcastic production. Ooh, a Chinese myth. It's gonna be fun. My wife squandered our chances at mutual immortality to become the goddess of the moon. That's rough, buddy. Yeah, okay. Have you noticed the trend of moon-affiliated divine figures forsaking existing boyfriend or otherwise embracing the single life forever? When it's hard to explain reference to, to that on a t-shirt. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, Atom is also one of them, right? Okay. So basically this is a story about somebody choose some girl basically choosing immortality over his husband and just getting the fuck out of there. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe, check out the Reaction Sunday, there's a link in the season, check out the cast of different playlists like Old Sarcastic production reaction. I upload quite a few videos from this channel already, so if you missed any, check out the playlist. Check out the playlist too, like history, CGP Great, Tears, Zoo, Internet Historian. Yeah, let's watch this one.
Okay, who here would become immortal given the chance? It's actually a pretty tricky question, even if we're working from a simple vanilla version of immortality where you stay young and hot forever. And while many great heroes pursue immortality, usually they either fail to get it, or it goes completely unremarked on in the narrative, or getting it kicks off a happily ever after. Usually they either fail to get it, or it goes
Sun Wukong, that's that monkey guy. Immortal, multiply by 5, never addressed. Yeah, I mean, he went to the, heaven or whatever that place is, and just chucked all the immortality elixirs, right? One after another, and became way too OP.
Goes completely unremarked on in the narrative, or getting it kicks off a happily ever after where we never address any potential.
Heracles attains divinity, immortality as final reward. Yeah, I guess all his rage and killing of his own family, his kids, is fine. He got immortality as reward.
Negative consequences. I don't actually know of that many stories where immortality is the end goal, but it's also framed in any kind of ambiguous or tragic light, except for one. The tragic tale of Hou Yi and Chang'E, also known as Why the Chinese Lunar Exploration Program.
Yeah, okay. Immortality usually seen as some kind of power or gap in two type of people, right? Immortal usually seen as godlike creatures, so when you need to show somebody's way powerful and godlike, you usually show them with immortality. That's what the thing is. But I'm surprised that there is no other stories that show that immortality is not so good, especially knowing most of myth is supposed to tell you some kind of a lesson, and trying to live forever is not that great as it's shown. I guess that's one of those messages that you think there is so many out there, but apparently not. But Chinese do have it. Look at that.
Keeps naming its probes after this one girl. Also, as always, my pronunciation sucks. I apologize in advance. I promise you this hurts me a lot more than it hurts you. So our old friend the Jade Emperor has 10 unruly sons, and one day, presumably for the sheer punnage of it all, they all decide to turn into 10 literal suns and start scorching the earth en masse. This obviously has detrimental effects on the quality of life for humanity overall. And after trying and failing to parent his kids into stopping, the Jade Emperor decides it's time to call in some professional help. So the Jade Emperor summons Hou Yi, the divine archer, and
Alright. Obviously people didn't know much of science back then, but if this story was made today, knowing all the science that we know, all those suns together like that would basically pull each other and basically collide. So the story would have gone something like that. All brothers fought each other out and collided into each other, and there would be more of a laws of physics implied mythology. That would be so awesome if somebody wrote a story like that.
Asks him to make his son stop with the sunning. Hou Yi agrees and does what he does best, by which I mean he shoots 9 of the suns out of the sky, leaving only 1 sun, as it should be. Unfortunately, the Jade Emperor is shocked I tell you, that the arrow guy he commissioned to shoot arrows shot arrows at the people he pointed him at, and as punishment he exiles Hou Yi and his wife Chang'E to Earth, stripping them of their divinity and rendering them fully mortal. The couple doesn't take this very well.
But alright, first of all, he wanted this his sons to basically knock it off. So he asked this hunter, obviously being hunter, he shot the other ones down. He's like, why did you kill them? And actually kicked him and his wife, who has nothing to do with each other. Who has nothing to do with this story. Just, yeah, you're his wife, you share the blame equally, even though you didn't know shit. That's just fucked up. I had a hitman to make, talk sense into one of my sons, and he killed them. Look at that, I'm shocked.
Mortal life is unsurprisingly really hard, even for a skilled archer like Hou Yi who doesn't have much trouble hunting. And to make matters worse, Chang'E is extra bummed and grumpy because she really didn't do anything to deserve this punishment. To make matters worse, they're both increasingly dreading the specter of their own mortality, something neither of them were prepared for, having both been immortal gods. So Hou Yi is determined to find a way to regain their immortality, and embarks on, what else, an epic quest to the mountains of Kunlun to seek the elixir of immortality from the Queen Mother of the West, who presumably lives 2 doors down from wherever they trained up.
Wait a minute, Kunlun is a real mythological place in, whatever Chinese or whatever this is, mythos. I thought it was more of a Marvel thing.
fist. So Hou Yi calls on the last of his divine mojo to overcome the trials to reach Kunlun, and when he finally arrives, the Queen Mother is sympathetic to his situation and gives him a small box containing the elixir of immortality. She tells him that it contains enough immortality juice to make 2 people regular immortal or 1 person full-on god immortal. So he and Chang'e are gonna have to split it if they don't want to wind up separated. And she warns him that the peaches it's made from only grow every 6,000 years, so if he screws this up, he's lost his shot for good. Now, while Hou Yi is cool with this discount immortality, Chang'e misses her divinity and isn't willing to settle for 50%. Instead, when Hou Yi returns with the elixir, she downs the whole thing and becomes a full-on goddess again. But the problem is she's still exiled from heaven, so now she's not welcome on either Earth or in the court of heaven, and with nowhere else to go, she drifts up to the moon and makes her home there. Hou Yi, meanwhile, is stuck as a full-on mortal with no way out, lives a tragically short life, and winds up getting murdered by one of his apprentices a few years later. Let's call this resounding bummer the bad end. But
Oh, how fucked up. So Hou Yi is a hunter god type of thing, right? Archer god or whatever. Immortal. Is he god? Or, let's just call him god. So who is this, hunter god type of thing, like Artemis, who's simple, just wanna, hunt basically, because that's what his thing is. So the Jade Emperor, asked him to, deal with his sons. So obviously he shot them down. You think that's why, otherwise why would he call him of all people? So he shot them down, and he basically exiled him. Like, fine, alright, I'm exiled. He was dealing with the scenario, but his wife was not. When he found elixir, his wife like, fuck you, and just drank it and I guess ran away. And he's like, okay, I guess so that happened, and then his apprentice killed him. How fucked up the situation is. I get it, his wife has nothing to do with this, so it's understandable, but Hou Yi didn't do anything bad either, so he doesn't deserve the situation anyway. It's just effed up.
the existence of a bad end implies a true end, and don't you worry, this legend actually does have a much sunnier finale that's rather more popular, and is in fact credited as kicking off the Mid-Autumn Moon Festival. The true ending differs from the bad ending in two key ways. First, rather than acquiring a double dose of the elixir, Hou Yi only gets enough for one of them, and secondly, neither one of them wants to abandon the other for immortality and perpetual godhood. So rather than Chang'E downing the immortality juice to restore her divinity, the couple agrees to keep the elixir stored away to deal with at a later date, and instead of being increasingly tormented by the looming specter of inevitable death, they live fairly normal lives, adjusting to their mortality decently well. But years later, one of Hou Yi's apprentices, a dude named Feng Meng, learns about the elixir and breaks into their house to steal it while Hou Yi is out hunting. He attacks Chang'E, and realizing that her only options are die and let this a-hole become immortal, or become immortal before he does, Chang'E downs the elixir in a pretty moving act of self-sacrifice, and descends out of Feng Meng's reach as well as mortality in general. Now an immortal goddess again, she can no longer live on Earth with her husband, but she opts to live on the moon to be closer to him than the rest of heaven, and he in turn leaves out little sacrifices of her favorite fruits and cakes. And while Hou Yi lives and dies a mortal lifespan, Chang'E lives on as the moon goddess and conveniently justifies the yearly consumption of these bad boys. Seriously, give him a shot if you haven't already. Well, I guess that tears it. Given the choice between boyfriends and the moon, girls pick the moon every time. Well, I'm so...
Yeah, those are the two stories apparently, but we all know which one is the real story, right? It's the first one. Yeah, it feels more realistic, depiction of what actually happened. Second one feels like some kind of a fairy tale story. The love is eternal, yeah, okay. Nah, the first one feels like about the real story. Even though it's mythology, none of them are real story. But yeah, first one feels like more realistic one. Artemis, Kaguya, and now Chang'E. There's a serious trend of moon deities ditching the prospect of marriage in favor of the moon. Yeah.
And it's fine to see.
As far as Artemis go, Artemis is more, you can compare Artemis with Hou Yi in a sense, right? Because they are both just doing their hunting thing and get screwed in the way. Not Artemis, but Hou Yi gets screwed in the way. So both of them, doesn't care much, but they're hunting things, and I guess things happen around them. But yeah, the way Chang'E just basically drinks elixir and fucks off, yeah, it kind of makes sense. And if you add Virgin Moon Goddess Hecate and count Tsukuyomi's breakup with Amaterasu, that's more evidence for the pile, yeah.
But I came to love you anyway.
There actually were more versions of this myth, including one where Hou Yi is some kind of a tyrant king. Okay, and Chang'E's heroic act is stealing and drinking the elixir before he can use it. And that's a really different story than the all other, right? I mean, usually alternate versions have base same. They are married and this and that. Hou Yi being some kind of a tyrant king, Chang'E being some kind of a hero who's drinking elixirs to save people. Even though that feels like your basic, saving world from tyrant story, it feels really different.
So you tore my heart out and
Plus a couple of variants where Hou Yi and Chang'E both start off as a regular mortal rather than gods. Yeah. Sometimes I'll be struck by a random burst of energy and put way more effort into a frame than is strictly necessary, which is why that one shot of Earth actually has accurate patterns of cloud core. Wait a minute, that one where Chang'E is sitting on the moon and there is a Earth behind and there's clouds. Wait a minute, that's accurate? Damn. Alright, there you go. Damn, the first one feels like a more real story because there's not much lessons there. Lesson it being, do not mess with your lead guy like Jade Emperor, or in Greek mythology like Zeus. Whether it's your fault or not, you will basically get screwed. So be careful. I guess that's the moral of the story from the first one. Yeah. Alright people, that was Hou Yi and Chang'E by the channel only Sarcastic production. If you like my reaction to phone, like, subscribe. Check out the Brick Sunday, there's a link in the description. Check out the cast play, check out the end cards, and I'll see you next time.